A very good evening to everyone. I, on behalf of ACCLMP Assam Chapter, invite you all to attend the session by Dr. Abha Borah. The topic of the session is an approach towards implementation of QC plan in a computer-assisted medical laboratory. A short introduction of Dr. Abha Borah. She has passed her MBBS from Assam Medical College, Dibrugarh. She has completed her MD Biochemistry from Guwahati Medical College. She has served as a medical officer in the government sector for last 15 years. And then she was working as a consultant biochemist cum lab director in Excel Center Laboratory. Presently, she is working as the head of the Department of Laboratory Medicine in Excel Care Hospital, Guwahati. She is also the Vice President of Assam ACCLMP Assam Chapter. So I request Dr. Abha Borah Madam to take over the session and start the brainstorming webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Good evening, everyone. Before starting the sessions, I would like to thank ACCLMP Assam Chapter for giving me this opportunity. Slide, please. Slide, please. Today's topic, already you come to know, is an approach towards implementations of IQC plan in a computer-assisted medical laboratory. This is a very common job for those who have been already practicing in laboratory medicine, but I think it will be a useful one for the beginners and PGTs. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, what is IQC or internal quality control? Next slide, please. Next. Internal quality control in a medical laboratory is a statistical process used to monitor and evaluate the analytical process that produces patient's result. It is a vital part of the quality management system of a laboratory. It gives us confidence to release a correct report from a patient sample. Now, next slide. Now, how to implement IQC? For implementing IQC, there is a process which involves various steps. These steps are establish written policies and procedure, assign responsibility for monitoring and review, training of the staff, select a good quality control material, then collections of data from this quality control material by assaying the control repeatedly, then set target values from this data. After that, establish control chart, which is known as Levey-Jennings chart or LG chart. Then routinely plot of control data in the Levey-Jennings chart. Then establish a system for monitoring control values. Establish troubleshooting and corrective action protocol. Last but not the least is establish a maintain system for documentation. Now I will discuss all the steps one by one. For establishing a written policy, we have to make a policy where it should be stated clearly what control we are going to use, how many level of control we are going to run, what will be the frequency of the running control, what statistical measure we are going to adopt, and who will use control. Definitely the person or the technician who is going to look after the IQC program must be trained, and we have to assign responsibility to the trained person. After this, the major step is the selecting a good quality control material. Next slide. Now about the control material. These are the substances that contain established amount of the substance being tested, that is the analyte. Now the criteria for the control material. The control material should be identical with the human sample. The amount of analyte present in the control should be close to the medical decision point. The control material should be stable for both unopened and open condition. Vial to vial variation should be very less. Control material should require minimal preparation, and it should be available with a reasonable price. Next slide, please. Next, please. These control materials are available in 3 forms: lyophilized form or freeze-dried form. These forms need to be reconstituted. The reconstitution is one of the very important job of the IQC. The control material must be reconstituted according to the manufacturer guideline. It should not be over diluted or it should not be over concentrated. If it is over diluted, our QC value will be very low, or if it is over concentrated, our QC value will be very high, and which will misguide us. Now the second form is liquid form, which is ready to use. The liquid form need not to be reconstituted. Another form is ethylene glycol base control. Now these control materials, all these control materials may be available as acid or unacid. The acid control material have the predetermined value which is established. Unacid control material, it doesn't have any predetermined value. For unacid control material, we have to assay the control material fully to get the mean, SD, and the other statistical measurement. But if we use acid control also, all laboratory must determine their own lab mean and SD. Next, please. Once we select the control, our next step is to collections of data point. How to collect this data point? For this, we have to run the control material or assay the control material repeatedly for a period of time of 20 to 30 days. At least only 20 data points should be available. During this period of 20 to 30 days, there should be variations of reagent lot, variations of calibration, variations in daily procedure, and variations of temperature, humidity, and TDS of the water within the normal limit, which will give us a good mean for the control material. Next, please. Once we get the data, we have to set the target value from this 20 point. What are the target values? Target values are mainly mean and standard deviation. Now, what is mean? Mean is a sum of collections number divided by the count of numbers in the collections. Mean is nothing but the arithmetic average. The formula for the mean is sum of the observation divided by the total number of the observation. Now the standard deviation. Standard deviation is a measurement of variation in a set of value. The formula for standard deviation is square root of summation x minus x bar whole square divided by n minus 1. Here x indicate the independent value, x bar indicate the mean of the data, and n is number of the data. Another is the coefficient of variation. It is nothing but the percentage of the standard deviation. But in a computer assisted laboratory, we need not to determine the mean or SD by putting the data in this formula. In a computer assisted laboratory, when we put the data in the Excel set of a computer, we can easily achieve the mean and standard deviation, which is a very easy procedure. Next, once we get the mean and standard deviation, then our next job is to establish the mean and standard deviation in a Levey-Jennings chart or LJ chart. If we see this diagram, the days of running control materials are plotted in the x-axis and the control values are plotted in the y-axis. The middle point of the graph indicate the mean. Suppose if I run glucose and my mean is 100 and my SD is 5, then I will get 115 for 1 SD. If I get, sorry, 105, if I get 105, it will be 1 SD. If I get 110, it will be 2 SD. If I get 115, it will be 3 SD in the positive side. And if I get 95, then it will be 1 SD in the negative side, then 90, 2 SD in the negative side, and 98 is the 3 SD in the negative side. In this diagram, the vitamin B12 QC has been shown, where mean is 200 and SD is 234. So 1 SD 234, sorry, where mean is 200 and SD is 34. Where 234 is indicating 1 SD and 268 indicating 2 SD and 302 indicating 3 SD in the positive side, and likewise 166 indicating 1 SD in the negative side, 132 2 SD in the negative side, and 98 3 SD in the negative side. Next, please. This Levey-Jennings chart is nothing but a Gaussian graph or the normal distribution, data distribution. If we observe this graph, we can see the most light brown portion of this graph is cover the 1 SD area, and little darker brown area, it will cover the 2 SD area, and the most dark brown area, it is covering the 3 SD area. And in this from this graph, we can see that 68% of the data falls within the 1 SD, 95% data falls within the 2 SD, and 99.7% data falls within the 3 SD. Next, please. Next, please. If we move the Gaussian graph, then we will get the Levey-Jennings chart. It means the Levey-Jennings chart is nothing but the normal distribution graph. Now, once we get the plot the 1 SD and mean in the Levey-Jennings chart, then our system is ready to run the daily control for checking the test procedure. Control material should be always treated in a manner as the sample, because we are going to check the system for running the sample. From this Levey-Jennings chart, we can learn about the precision and accuracy. Now, what is the precision and accuracy? Next slide, please. Next. Precision is the amount of variation in the measurement, and accuracy is the closeness of the measurement to its true value. If we see the upper diagram in the left side, we can see that the control value, which is indicated by plus sign, is clustered in the central portions of the circle. The central portion is representing the true value. That means these values are having high accuracy with high precision. Now, if we observe the second diagram in the left side, then we can see that control values are close to the central round, and these are not all in a cluster. This is indicating high accuracy and low precision. And if we see the upper diagram in the right side, we can observe that all the data are plotted in the periphery and it forms a cluster, but there is not a single data within the central portion. This indicating that these values are low, have low accuracy and high precision. And last diagram on the right side, we can see that all values are plotted discretely. This indicating that these control values are having low accuracy with low precision. Next, please. Now the bias. What is bias? Bias is the difference between the expected test result and the reference value. Next, please. Once we get the mean as the what is precision, what is accuracy, what is bias, now we can monitor our control values. Next, please. There are tools for monitoring internal quality control. These tools are Levey-Jennings chart and Westgard rule. Another is software. Levey-Jennings chart and Westgard rule is very popular tool for monitoring the IQC, and software nowadays, some softwares are available commercially, which can be connected to our automated system in a computer assisted laboratory, from where we can get all the calculation, all the statistical value in our computer. And one more beneficial point of this software is we can compare our IQC with our peer group with the help of this software. Next. Now I am going to discuss the most popular IQC tool, that is Westgard rule. What is the Westgard multi-rule? There are two types of rule. One is warning rule and another is rejection rule. 1-2S is the warning rule, and 1-3S, 2-2S, R4S, 10X, and 1-4S, these are the rejection rule. 1-3S and R4S, it indicate the random error, while 2-2S, 10X, and 1-4S indicate the systematic error. Here, the digit 1 or 2, it indicate the run, and the subscript 2S, it indicate the standard deviation. So 1-2S means 2S standard deviation for single run. Next, please. Now I will discuss Westgard rule one by one. The first rule is 1-2S. If we observe this diagram, we can see that one control value in the positive side of the mean, represented by yellow color, has fallen out of 2S. This is known as 1-2S rule violation. And this is a warning rule, and we need not to stop our run. Next, please. Second one is 1-3S rule violation. If we observe this graph, we can see that one control value in the negative side of the mean has fallen out of the 3S. This is known as 1-3S rule violation, and it indicates random error, and we have to stop the run. Next, please. If we observe this diagram, we can see that two control values are falling outside the 2 standard deviation. When two conjugative value of control falls out of 2S, then it is known as 2S rule violation, 2-2S rule violation, and it is indicating a systematic error, and run should be stopped. Next, please. Now, R4S rule. What is R4S rule? In this diagram, we can see that two control value is falling, one in the positive side of the mean and another in the negative side of the mean. Both are out of the 2S and in a single run. This is known as R4S rule violation. It indicates random error, and we should stop the run. Next, and another is 10X rule. 10X rule is when 10 conjugative value fall outside the 1 standard deviation, then it is known as 10S rule violation. It indicates systemic error, and we should stop the run. Next, please. Next. Now, last one is 4-1S. It is something like 10X rule. If 4 conjugative control value falls out of the 1 standard deviation, whether in the positive or negative side, it is known as 4 1S rule violation, and it indicates the systematic error and we should stop the run. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. By now we can detect what is random error, what is systemic error. To detect systemic error, we can also take the help of shift and trends. The shift of the mean occurs when an abrupt change is followed by six or more consecutive control values that fall on the same side of the mean. And trends occur when control values gradually but continually move in one direction over 6 or more analytical runs. Usually shifts found when there is change of lot, when there is change of calibration, on when there is any maintenance is done. And trends occur usually due to the deteriorations of the reagent or deteriorations of the control material. Next, please. Next, please. By now, we are able to know about the accuracy, precision, bias, trends, shift, and we have known how to determine mean, SD, etc. So these we can now all these help for troubleshooting or corrective action if we find any error. Next slide, please. For taking corrective action for any error, we have to find out the type of error first. That means we have to identify whether error is random or error is systematic. Once we know it is random error or it is systematic error, then for taking corrective action, we must know the cause of error. If we don't know the cause of error, we cannot correct the error. So what are the causes of the error? Now I will discuss the causes of the random error. What are the causes? The fluctuations of the power, the fluctuations of the temperature, whether in the environment or in the incubation chamber, and change in the humidity, microclot in the probe, mistake made by the technician. One study from Ross Diagnostic has shown that 80% of the random error are due to the microclot in the probe. And mistake by technician, I think most of us has experience about that. Suppose technician has to put the level 1 and level 2 control in a specific position, but by mistake, if we keep the level 1 in the place of level 2, then we will get the random error. Next slide, please. Next. Now, what are the causes of the systemic error? The systemic error may occur due to the error in the instrument, error in the reagent, or error in the control material itself. Now, what are the error can occur in the instrument? These are the problem in the hardware. For example, there may be problem in the tubing, there may be problem in the pump, or there may be problem in the this one another part incubation chamber, or there may be loosening of the screw in a joint, etc., etc. The another point is aging of the lamp, and another is poor maintenance of the instrument. Maintenance of the instrument is very important to get a good IQC. It should be done according to the manufacturer guideline, whatever mentioned, daily, weekly, monthly, or 6 monthly. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, error in the reagent. Loss of integrity of the reagent due to the mishandling, improper storage of the reagent, aging of the reagent, and improper calibration. These are the causes of the error occurring from the reagent. Next slide, please. Next, the last one is error in the control. These are the improper reconstitution of the control material, improper storage of the control material, operator error or aging of the control material. How operator error can induce a systemic error. I have already mentioned how operator error can make a random error. Now I'll give an example of operator error make a systemic error. Suppose value of my glucose is, mean value of my glucose is 100 and my SD is 5. If my operator put the SD 0.5 instead of 5 by mistake, then I will get the random, systemic error continuously in my system. Next slide, please. Now, we can learn, by now we have learned that how the control material is to be selected, what are the criteria of the control material, how as data to be collected, how SD and mean is derived, what is precision, what is accuracy, what is bias, what is shift, and what is a trend, and how we can detect or we can identify the error, and how we can troubleshoot the error by knowing the cause of the error. So after doing all these things, once we solve the problem, we have to be confirmed. How can we confirm that our system has become fine? It is working properly. To know this, we have to rerun the control to establish or to get a good IQC. If our control is within the normal limit, then we will know that our system is working properly and we can start testing our sample. The last one is documentation. Whatever we done, what is the error, when it was occurred, what is the type of error, what type of corrective action we have taken, the process of troubleshooting, everything should be mentioned and documented, because we all know if we don't document, we have not done and we are telling a lies. Thank you.
So thank you, madam. It was a very nice session. So I request the audience to ask some questions if there are any. And I request Dr. Dibbaratnam Patgiri to take over the questions and continue the session with madam.
Good evening. So we are still looking for some questions from our audience. Madam, we have a question for the Vitros instrument. It says that instrument like instrument. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
you are
yes,
audible.
Dibbar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instrument like Vitros are so precise that they frequently give 4-1S errors. So what should be done, or is overcorrection required, or should we follow what should we follow actually?
See, getting very frequent 4SD, first you have to trace your system, why it has been occurred. You have to detect the cause, and then you have to take corrective action accordingly. I think Vitros is a dichemistry system, is not it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually in Northeast region, the dichemistry system does not work properly because of the high humidity in our Assam in the Northeastern region. You may get the 4S maybe because of improper humidity also. So please try to check your humidity regularly.
Yes, that is correct, madam. We get a lot of messages for humidity. So we have a humidity pack and a desiccant pack that we have to frequently change. So
Yeah.
that is very correct what you have said. Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions from the audience? Kindly put your questions in the chat box. Ma'am, there's another question. Do we really have to follow the 10x rule?
It depends on the user. If you want to make your IQC very precise, you can follow the 10x rule. But most of the lab, usually they use the basic rule. This is 1 2s as a warning rule, 2 2s and 1 3s is a violation rule. But it is solely depend on the user. What is the user expectations? Does he want to maintain his IQC very precisely? Then he can follow this rule. Otherwise, 3 basic rules are sufficient.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another question. It is regarding third-party controls. Can we get an insight of third-party controls?
Yeah, there are different types of control: first-party control, second-party control, and third-party control.
Right.
Actually, first-party controls, the control values are established by the reagent manufacturer or instrument manufacturer. Second-party control, the values are established by the independent of reagent manufacturer or instrument manufacturer, but the manufacturer sometimes recommended this control. The third-party controls are totally independent of the instrument manufacturer or reagent manufacturer or kit manufacturer. So third-party control is considered as a good control to test the IQC.
Okay, okay. Ma'am, we have a request from an audience. He would like you to elaborate a little bit more on shift and trend with an example.
Okay, suppose I am running my glucose mean is 100. So my glucose mean is showing that the daily, when I run the daily control, the mean is showing like, some control value is showing that 101, 102, 99, 98, 100, like this. After this six plot, suddenly we will get a 140 or 120 value for my glucose. This is the abrupt deviation from that values. So this is the shift, and it may occur again after 6 consecutive value. But trend is if we run my glucose, see my glucose mean is 100, I will get either first day 98, second day 96, third day 94, 19, 89, like this. Or in the positive side, I will get the glucose value is 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. Continuously I am getting, but it is maintaining a serial, deviations.
Yes.
This is the trend.
Okay. Now, staying on the same track regarding shift and trend, we have an audience who is asking that how we can monitor for shifts and trend.
I think this answer will be same. If I see that my control, it is quite similar with the previous one. If my control value is falling serially, gradually it's going to up or gradually it's going to down. That means from the mean to the positive side or mean to the negative side. It means we should understand that it is a trend. And if my control values are abruptly from the mean or 6 control run, then we will know this is the shift. It is very easier to understand when we observe the Levey-Jennings chart.
Okay. Ma'am, one more question. Is it mandatory to run all levels of control daily? And what should be the frequency in practical scenario in a government setup? Like we have constraints of supply and other logistics. So what should be the frequency in a government setup? Or is it mandatory to run all the levels of control daily?
Actually, if it is previously also I told, it is the user expectation up to what extent he want to maintain the quality. At least one level of control to be run, whether it is government setup or very small lab, at least one level of control should be run. And we can do, we can adopt another method. We can run the one level for few days, then we can run the two level for the few days. We can do like that also.
Okay. So that answers another question, Dr. Soumitra Ghosh. In case of shortage of control, we can run single control level 1 and level 2 alternate day instead of running both the control at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think Madam has already put it very clearly. Ma'am, is there any particular recommendation from NABL side? 112, what it says?
Latest guideline for running control, latest guideline for NABL guideline for running control, that irrespective of the size of the laboratory, we have to run the two level of control daily.
Okay.
I think it's, yeah.
We can take one or two more questions. Kindly put it in the chat box. It seems there are no more questions, ma'am. It has been very thorough on your part. That is why people are, I think, very clear about the topic. So can we move on to Teresa, ma'am, for the rest of the presentation?
Yeah, good evening once again. So it was a very nice session. I request the questions because we still have some time. So any more questions, I request everyone. As Dibba has already said that it was a truly good session. She has covered maximum topics of the basics of the internal quality control. So I thank Dr. Abha Borah once again on behalf of ACCLMP Assam chapter for the nice presentation and the lucid presentation, which has been really, it was a good session for the beginners. And thank you once again for presenting. And I thank all the guests who have attended the session and have encouraged us to do more sessions like this. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, ACCLMP Con.
So can we
ACCLMP Assam chapter. Sorry.
So can we take the leave or? So can we end up the session here?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we should.
Yeah. Because everyone is giving their thanks. Thank you, Abha madam, for a wonderful presentation.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abha.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dibba.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anil.
Welcome,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Anil.
Welcome, ma'am. Well, people are joining, still joining.
Abhi.
Okay, any more question? I can take the question. Still, we are having time.
Hello, Abha, moi কৈ asu.
Oh,
Hello.
Yes, I
Acha.
mean, yes.
Yeah, it was a very excellent session. But I want to add one more thing. Besides running 2 levels of okay, if some particular tests are more than 100, if you do more than 100 glucose say one day, after 100
Yeah,
tests again, see, yeah,
yes,
and
that
that is,
mm.
yeah, that thing I want to add for beginners.
I think you want to know the frequency of running control material, is not it?
Yeah, yeah.
Frequency
you
of
do
okay. Yeah, actually,
500 glucose tests,
yeah,
at
a laboratory having high load of glucose,
yeah,
then should be the frequency of running the control material, is not it? Actually,
not
we
only
should
glucose, not only glucose, if say
for
creatinine
any parameter, for example, you are giving an
yeah,
example of glucose, yeah,
yeah,
any test which are having more load, we should run, according to the NABL, we should run the control 8 hourly.
yeah.
Yeah, it is the NABL, as per NABL guideline.
Can I add
And
something, ma'am? Can I add something?
Yeah, definitely you are the NABL officer.
112 says that it is if it is a 24 hours laboratory, running laboratory, then 2 levels of control should be run every day, and 1 level of control should be run alternately every 8 hours. So this is the present guideline which says. Otherwise, if it is not a 24 hours laboratory, so 2 levels of control should be run at least every day, irrespective of the size of the sample, irrespective of the analytes. So it says that covering the whole decision limits, clinical decision limits.
Yeah.
This is the recent update since 2019.
19, yeah.
2019 June update. Before it was like we have to run according to the number of samples, 75 above. We go for 2 levels, 2 levels, or less than 75. That count was there, but now we don't follow that as per the recent 112 guidelines, as Dr. Teresa has said.
Yes, very true.
And another one thing, maybe she is a student from one government lab. It is not like government lab, private lab like that. Everyone should follow strictly the QC. Yeah.
Yes.
And I just want to add one thing. Say suppose one parameter, say suppose somebody is running the cancer markers. So the cancer markers are very rare, very rare. It is accepted that on the day of the sample comes, say suppose it comes twice in a week or thrice in a week. So we don't say that you have to run the control every day, even if it is a 24-hour lab. But you have to, on the day of the run, if the sample comes on a Thursday, say suppose you are running 1 or 2 samples, on that very day you have to run all the 3 levels of control. If you are using a pirate control, then you have to run all the 3 levels of control, then only you have to perform the test. So that is the criteria.
Actually, we can store the sample, and we can run the sample during the days of running of the control. We can do that.
I'm saying about the test. You have to perform the test once in a week or twice in a week. But that particular day, it is mandatory to run on the levels of control to see whether the decision limits are giving their performance or not. Because the reagent is already there and you are not running the sample every day, then you have to follow those criteria apart from the regular parameters. So these are the rare parameters. They come very irregularly. So you have to manage that way. So that your LJ is covering all the 3 decision limits, level 1, level 2, level 3. You have to manage within these 3, level 1 today, level 2 tomorrow, level 3 thereafter. So that is not done nowadays. So in the same setting, you have to run all the controls and see whether they fall in the within the control limits or not. So that is one criteria for rare parameters. Anybody wants to add? We are still having time. Can discuss.
Any question?
One question from my side.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you describe intra-run and inter-run run for our PG students?
Yeah, it is, I think you are talking about between run and within run.
Yeah.
Yeah, between run is it is a essay two different run. The
Okay.
value observed in two different run, and within run is the same run. Whatever the value we get in the same run. This is the call within run or between run.
Okay.
Ma'am, can I add something to it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Within run is suppose we run, suppose we want to check the precision, and one after the other we keep on running the samples in the same time. So that is the within run. And what is between run? Suppose we want to check the precision every 2 hours or every 4 hours. So that can be at a regular interval. So that can be placed as between runs.
Yes, two different.
Okay, so comparison between the first time and the other time.
Yes.
Yeah, it is the between run.
Okay.
May I kindly add, Dr. Animesh here? May I just kindly add, Abha?
Yes, sure.
Because there are certain CLSI guidelines in which, through which we have to maintain that intra and inter analysis. CLSI guidelines, there are certain clauses also in which it's clearly mentioned that we should be running about 20 samples. So when we are doing this intra and inter assay runs, we should always maintain the CLSI guidelines when performing these assay runs. So that's what I wanted to tell everybody, that the CLSI guidelines should be followed while doing this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is EP 24, I guess, Dr. Animesh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, thank you.
So that part, ma'am, we'll be discussing. I think if we have a method validation and all that, no, we'll be.
Yeah.
In the next session, this session was really
these
for
things
the
in detail.
beginners.
So this is the beginning of the class from ASSAM chapter. So we will be slowly coming up with all these, all the details of the laboratory method validation and everything will be going very slowly. So ma'am, you can follow us with the subsequent programs which we'll be holding online or offline, whatever we are doing. So you can always join us, ma'am.
So any more questions?
Ma'am, one question is there, but it is not related to today's presentation. Just I want some information about some good kind of software for inventory management.
Good kind of software for inventory. I don't have idea. I know about the software for monitoring the IQC. This software are from Byred company. But about the inventory, other inventory, I don't know. I don't have idea.
So I wanted to.
If
anybody has any idea?
Yeah, ma'am. I mean, just wanted to add that there's multiple softwares nowadays which have got the inventory module. One particular which I have used in 1 or 2 places is the IT-DOS software.
Pardon,
which
sir?
have got IT-DOS. It's a Delhi-based company, and we have been using it for last 4 to 5 years. So this has got a very good inventory control module, in which everything. There's a Hinai company also. There's IT-DOS. There are multiple of good companies.
Yeah, actually, hospital-based this thing we always get it inbuilt, isn't it? But I think asking only for the lab.
No. I'm talking about the lab in particular.
Okay, okay, fine.
There are multiples of them. 2 of the most commonly used in India, what I have seen across, are IT-DOS and Hinai. So we can work on that part also. They are very good in lab management, lab software inventory management.
Okay, it is needed because in our lab we have nearly 10,000 tests per day. So it becomes very difficult to maintain the inventory without software.
Yes, and you can take this software. I mean, I have used it. These are 2 to 3 of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions? So I thank Abha Madam once again really for the excellent presentation and the excellent explanation that she has given for the beginners. It was really good insight. And I once again thank all the participants who have patiently listened to the presentation. And we hope that we can continue more and we can conduct more sessions like this. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.